The story begins with a young man sitting in his dark room, surrounded by computer screens, as he finishes a game only 3 years after its release. He feels disappointed by the lack of challenge, calling the game weak sauce and hot garbage as he leans back in his chair and takes off his headphones. He drinks from an energy pouch and decides to look for a new game that will take him 10 years to beat, so he starts typing keywords like video game, garbage balancing, and hardcore into a search engine. He finds a mysterious page with purple clouds and lightning over dark mountains that promises a game that never ends in a fantasy world of swords and magic. He scoffs at the claim but decides to check the difficulty settings, scrolling past easy and normal until he finds extra and a hidden option called hell. He is intrigued when the screen displays a warning that regret is the least of his worries and that he will face utter despair. He dismisses the warning, boasting that he has heard it all before, and types hell multiple times to confirm his choice. The game informs him that leveling up in this mode requires 100 times more experience than in normal mode, but he remains undeterred. He moves the mouse cursor to the character class selection screen and is impressed by the variety of roles available, including swordsman, spear user, swordmaster, hero, and even demon lord. He notices that the summoner class has an incredibly high difficulty rating and decides to select it, noting that the game defaults him to the serf social class. He wonders why he can select a class that is still in alpha testing, but decides to accept the challenge anyway. A prompt asks if he is ready to start, and he clicks yes, declaring that he will be their guinea pig. A bright light flashes from the screen, engulfing him as he disappears from his room, leaving his headphones behind on his chair. He finds himself floating in a dark blue space, feeling a lukewarm sensation that he initially finds relaxing until the space becomes tight and uncomfortable. He suddenly wakes up as a newborn baby in a simple stone house, surrounded by a man and a woman who are celebrating his birth. The woman, who has blonde hair, smiles at him and calls him sweetheart, while the man holds him and announces that it is a boy. The man, whose name is Rodan, has a goatee and seems overjoyed as he holds his new son. The baby, who retains the memories and consciousness of the gamer, realizes that this is a literal interpretation of the reincarnation trope and mentally thanks the universe for making it so obvious. Rodan decides to name the baby Alan. Rodan holds Alan up to the sky outside the house, and a text box appears in Alan's vision confirming that leveling up requires 100 times more XP and that there is no level cap. The message also states that if he overcomes the despair, he will discover the principle of the world. Later, Alan is fed by his mother Teresia, and he enjoys the food while reflecting on his past life as Kenichi Yamada, a 35-year-old uneducated and romantically inept office worker. He accepts his new reality as a 1-year-old named Alan, and notes that, although he cannot talk yet, he can understand the language, which appears to be Japanese. He observes his parents and notes that Rodan is a hard-working family man around 20 years old, and Teresia is a beautiful woman in her late teens. He realizes he is currently their only child, but assumes siblings will come eventually. One night, after his parents have gone to sleep, Alan decides it is time to check his status. He raises his hands and commands the status window to open, noting that he has tried this countless times before without success. He complains internally about being a summoner who can't do anything yet. Suddenly, a bright blue light appears and a black book flies toward him. He panics when he hears his parents waking up and quickly hides the book under his blanket, pretending to be asleep. His parents rush in to check on him, but after seeing he is safe, they assume he was talking in his sleep and leave the room. Once the coast is clear, Alan commands the book to appear again. The book opens, revealing his stats. Name Alan, age 1, class summoner, level 1, HP 4, MP 2, attack 1, endurance 1, agility 2, intelligence 3, and luck 2. He sees his skills are summon, create, and delete, and he has 0 experience points out of 1,000. He turns the page to the summoner details and learns that summon and create have their own skill experience bars. He sees that he has summons available for creation, specifically insects and beasts of H rank. He also finds a letter from Elmea, the god of creation, apologizing for the delay in delivering his grimoire because he chose a class still under testing. Alan dismisses the administrative apology and decides to try summoning immediately. He commands an insect to come forth, but nothing happens. He tries various commands like summon insect and abracadabra, but fails each time. He realizes there are no walkthroughs in this world, and he has to figure it out himself. He deduces that he must use the Create skill first to make a card. He casts Create Insect, and a glowing blue card with a picture of a grasshopper appears. The text indicates he has created one Insect H-rank card, which gives +1 to endurance and agility. Satisfied, he decides to save the actual summoning for later and goes back to sleep. Sometime later, while his mother is out of the room, Alan decides to summon the insect. He calls forth Insect H, and the book glows, releasing a bright light that forms into a large green grasshopper with red eyes. Alan is startled when the giant insect jumps onto his face, causing him to fall back. He realizes the grasshopper is huge, but wonders if it will obey him. He tries to give it orders in his baby voice, but the insect just sits there. He checks the grimoire and sees that the insect has no name, so he names it Denka. He examines Denka's stats and discovers that summoning the creature grants him a buff, increasing his endurance and agility by 1 point each. He is thrilled to see his own stats increase in real time. Suddenly, his mother Teresia walks in and almost steps on Denka. She screams, "You, bug," and tries to stomp on it. Alan panics and quickly unsummons Denka, turning the insect back into glowing blue orbs just in time to save it. Over the next few days, Alan experiments with his skills and creates a Beast H card. He summons a white mouse and names it Mousy. He notes that Mousy is also not very smart, but it has a specific ability called Scurry. He checks the book and learns that he can stock up to 10 cards for each creature type and that the buffs stack. He calculates that if he stocks 10 Mousy cards, his attack stat will increase by 10, allowing him to surpass the strength of a regular baby. He is reminded of the harsh reality of Hell Mode, where leveling up skills requires an insane amount of grinding. One evening, Rodin returns home covered in blood, terrifying Teresia. He assures her he is not hurt and that the blood is from a hunt. He tells Alan that he took down a boar and asks if he wants to see it. Alan excitedly agrees, wanting to see a real monster. Rodin carries Alan on his shoulders to the fields. As they walk, Rodin points out a flock of birds in the sky called albaherons, explaining that they migrate north and signal the coming of fall. He tells Alan that he was named after these birds because they are free to fly wherever they want, symbolizing true freedom. He mentions that Teresia was angry when he told her he named their son after a monster. They arrive at the gathering spot where other men are butchering 2 massive great boars. Alan is awestruck by the size of the beasts and realizes he could never beat one in his current state. A neighbor named Gerda greets them and comments on how calm Alan is compared to his own daughter, Krena, who is the same age. Alan politely introduces himself, shocking Gerda with his intelligence. Alan asks about the boar's strength, and Rodin explains that boars are C-rank monsters and require at least 20 men to take down. Alan uses this information to gauge the power levels of this world. 10 months pass, and Alan is now 1 year and 10 months old. The screen shows it is August. Alan checks his grimoire and celebrates reaching Summon Level 2 and Create Level 2. He also unlocks a new skill called Expansion Level 1 and a Notes feature. He opens his status page and sees he can now create G-rank cards and has a Fuse skill. He notices his inventory space has doubled, meaning he can hold more cards and get double the buffs. He discovers the grimoire can transcribe his thoughts into the notes automatically. He decides to try fusing his summons. He attempts to fuse 2 Mousy cards, but a message appears saying, "Not enough MP." He is confused because his MP is full. He tries to create a Beast G card instead, but gets the same error. He realizes that even with his max MP, he cannot use his new skills yet, and he curses the Hell Mode balancing. Later, at age 3, Alan finally succeeds in fusing cards. He combines Hopper and Molly to create a Bird G card. He summons a colorful bird and names it Chappie. He checks Chappie's stats and sees it has a voice mimic ability. He tests it, and Chappie perfectly mimics his voice. He then summons his other friends, Hopper the Frog, who has a Provoke ability, and Molly the Mole, who has a Dig ability. He watches Molly dig a hole and realizes he can make pitfall traps. He declares that understanding stat buffs is the key to dominating the game. Suddenly, a girl with pink hair shouts from outside. It is Krena, and she wants to play Dueling Knights. Alan sighs but grabs a wooden sword to join her. Krena calls herself Krena the Fierce, and Alan calls himself Alan the Honorable. They fight, but Krena is incredibly fast. Alan realizes that even with all his creature buffs poured into agility, he can barely keep up with her. She overpowers him, breaks his wooden sword, and knocks him to the ground. Alan lies there in shock, thinking she is too overpowered. Krena's mother, who is pregnant, calls her home for dinner. Krena waves goodbye and leaves. Alan goes inside and eats dinner with his parents. He notices his mother's large belly and offers to help with the potato harvest so she can rest. Rodin refuses, telling Alan that he is just a child and should enjoy playing while he can. Rodin explains that farm work is grueling and that they are serfs, but he hopes Alan's appraisal ceremony at age 5 will reveal a talent that can help him escape serfdom. Alan becomes curious about this ceremony. Later, Alan is shown throwing rocks at a tree to see if he can learn offensive skills outside of summoning. Winter arrives and snow covers the ground. Alan is outside staring into a hole where Denka the grasshopper is jumping. He is pleased to discover he can keep a summon active for a whole day. Krina arrives and challenges him to another duel. They fight in the snow, and Krina hits Alan with a wooden board, sending him flying. He crashes into his pregnant mother, Teresia, who has just come outside. In the chaos, Alan realizes he forgot to unsummon Denka. The giant grasshopper bites Teresia's leg. She screams, and the shock sends her into labor. Rodan panics and sends the children to get help. The neighbor, Gerda, and his wife Matilda arrive to assist. The men are kicked out of the room while the women handle the birth. Alan waits anxiously. Feeling guilty about the grasshopper incident, he helps by keeping the fire going in boiling water. Eventually, the baby is born as the sun rises. The family gathers around Teresia and the newborn boy. Rodan announces that he has picked the name, Mash. Teresia immediately asks if it is another monster name. Rodan hesitates and laughs nervously, admitting it is. Teresia laughs and the family celebrates. Alan looks at his new baby brother Mash and greets him. He reflects on his new life, realizing that while he wants to max out his stats and play the game, he also genuinely cares for his family. He vows to free them all from the drudgery of serfdom. The story concludes with a montage of Alan growing up, crawling, running through fields, and exploring the forest with a red cape, determined to become stronger.